Hi, Mr. Jacobson here, and today we'll be talking about adding and subtracting mixed numbers. So you've already watched the videos with Ms. Dulesque, and today I'm going to show you the six-step process. So right now we will be able to use the six-step process to find the sum of the two mixed numbers. So we're given the mixed numbers 4 and 2/5 plus 3 and 1/2. The first thing that we are going to do is we're going to set up these mixed numbers vertically. So 4 and 2/5 plus 3 and 1/2. All right, our next step, number 2, is to find the least common denominator or a common denominator. So earlier today, Mr. McFarland and we showed you a cheat code where we can look at our denominators, 5 and 2. What we can do is we can multiply 5 by 2 and also 2 by 2 using the opposite denominator. And down here we can do the same thing using the 5, so 2 times 5 and 1 times 5. Now, doing this, we can find the equivalent fractions. So I'm going to rewrite our mixed numbers over here with their equivalent fractions. So I have 4 and 4/10 over 3 and 5/10. Now, we will focus on using the fractions and we will add them. So we're going to add the numerators. 4 plus 5. So 4 plus 5 is 9, and we get 9/10. Then we add the whole numbers. 4 plus 3 is 7, and our answer is 7 and 9/10. When you find your answer, you always put it or write it in simplest form. Once you have it in simplest form, you make sure you box your answer. All right, moving on to the next problem. All right, now we're going to be adding mixed numbers, but this is going to require regrouping. So we're going to follow the same six-step process to find the sum of the two mixed numbers. Our first step is to line up the mixed numbers vertically. So we have 8 and 7/10 plus 4 and 3/4. Now again, we are going to find the least common denominator or a common denominator between the two. If you remember, we can use that cheat code by looking at the opposite fractions denominator. So we're going to do 10 times 4 and 7 times 4. And for this fraction down here, we're going to use the denominator of 10. So 4 times 10 and 3 times 10. To the right, we will rewrite our mixed numbers. So that gives us 8, and 7 times 4 is 28 over 40, plus 4 and 3 times 10 is 30 over 4 times 10, which is 40. And we have our common denominators of 40. Now, our next step, step 4, is to add the fractions. Well, 28 plus 30 is 58 over 40. And our next is to add the whole numbers 8 plus 4, which is 12. Now you may notice we have a mixed number, but we also have that mixed number with an improper fraction. So we need to simplify this. Always put it into simplest form. Well, this is going to require some regrouping. So I can take 40 from the 58 to make one whole, leaving us with 18 40ths. Now, again, simplest form. This is not yet in simplest form. We need to simplify our fraction. Well, a common factor that will go into 18 and 40, we can just do 2. So we can split that in half, and we'll be given 1 and 9/20, which that is now reduced. So we need to again set up vertically. We have 12, our whole number, because we've only changed our fraction, and we are going to add that to what we regrouped with, 1 and the 9/20. So when we add those together, we have 12 plus 1, which is now 13 and 9/20, and that is simplest form. So we can box our answer. Okay. Oops, sorry. Moving on, we're now going to focus on subtracting. Okay, so we're first going to start by non-regrouping, and then we'll move into regrouping. So, as before, we're going to line up our mixed numbers vertically. 10 and 7/9 minus 3 and 2/9. Okay. If you need to, or if you must, find the least common denominator. In this case, we have the same denominator. They're both 9. So we can go ahead and subtract. 7 minus 2 is 5/9, and 10 minus 3 is 7. We've now subtracted our whole numbers, and we're on step 6, where we write our answers in simplest form, and this is in simplest form, so we can block our answer. All right, moving on to the next slide. Now, we are going to be subtracting mixed numbers here, where it requires regrouping, and we'll still follow our 6-step process. So, we're first going to start by lining up our mixed numbers vertically. 6 and 1/3 minus 2 and 4/5. Step 3 is that we need to find, step 2 is we need to find a common denominator. So using our cheat code, we can do 3, and with opposite denominator, 3 times 5 and 1 times 5. And with this fraction down here, using the opposite denominator, 3 times 5 and 4 times 3. And we will rewrite our mixed numbers with their equivalent fractions to the right. So we have 6 and 5/15 minus 2 and 12/15. Step 4, this is where it becomes a little tricky. It says to subtract the fractions and borrow from a whole number if needed. Well, you can see here that we can't subtract 5 from 12, or we go in the negative. So what we're going to do is we're going to borrow from the 6, which will now become 5, and this will be added with 15, the denominator. So I'm going to rewrite this over here. We have 5, and 5 plus 15 is 20/15 minus our 2 and 12/15. Now that we've borrowed and regrouped, we can go ahead and subtract our mixed numbers. So we'll start with the fractions. 20 minus 12 is 8/15, and 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 and 8/15 is in simplest form, so we've completed step 6, and we are now done. Please block your answers. If you have any questions, please raise your hand, and Mr. McFarland or I will be over to assist you. Thanks. Have a great day.